afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Star Wars Headlines. It's laughingplace.com's live discussion of the latest in the Star Wars universe. Over there, that's Mike Celestino. He's our director of content, of Star Wars content. I need to just write it down here at Laughing Place because I have it, and then as soon as I start to talk, I forget it. Here at Laughing Place, Mike Celestino. I'm Rebecca Mosley, the co-founder of Laughing Place. There's so much Star Wars news this week. Mike got to take a brief tour of the Galactic Starcruiser, got to experience just a taste of some of the offerings there. So we're going to be able to talk about that along with some comic book reviews. But Mike, we're starting off with a bit of a tribute, kind of.
Some sad news this week. Alan Ladd Jr. passed away. He was the president of 20th Century Fox's film department in the 70s, and he basically greenlit Star Wars for all intents and purposes, and was the guy at the studio who was behind the movie the most. And one of those people that if you made a list of most important people in Star Wars history, he would definitely be on it. I don't know if the movie would have been made at Fox, certainly without him. So this quote came up on the StarWars.com tribute to him. I thought it was, it kind of made me tear up a little bit when I was reading it. But he was talking about attending a test screening, one of the early test screenings with Star Wars, and the reaction that it got in the theater. And he said he's not very prone to emotions, but when the picture opened up and all of a sudden they just started applauding, the tears started rolling out of his eyes, and that had never happened to him. Then at the end of the picture, it kept going. It wasn't stopping. And he just never had experienced that kind of reaction to any movie ever. Finally, when it was over, he had to get up and walk outside because of the tears. So yeah, I can imagine having been the guy who kind of helped get the movie made, what an emotional experience that must have been for him, being there and getting to see that audience reaction. And then, when the movie finally came out and it was such a huge hit and became this cultural phenomenon for the next 4.5 decades, he must have been very proud of having been instrumental in getting that started.
Yeah, what an amazing feeling to kind of support, because I mean it wasn't like there was a lot of immediate embrace, as far as like thinking that it was going to become kind of this icon that it did. So just thoughts with all those who knew him, and greatly appreciate his impact as fans.
That's okay.
I am out of focus. Let's see. Skywalking Through Neverland is sharing that they just started watching the documentary on Alan Ladd Jr. that's available. You can rent it for $3.99. So if you want to learn more about this remarkable man, check out that documentary. Thank you very much.
I think the title of that documentary is Laddie. I have not seen it yet, but I would like to check it out. I'm sure it's very interesting.
As I mentioned in the beginning of today's show, Mike, you got to travel over to Florida and then on to various places unknown, right?
Yeah, it's a good segue actually, because I ran into the folks from Skywalking Through Neverland down there at Walt Disney World. Sarah and Richard, we had breakfast together. They got to do the full 2-night stay experience aboard the Halcyon Galactic Starcruiser, and then we got a 4-hour media preview thing where we kind of got the big story beats and got to meet the characters and got the dinner show thing. But I am going back 2 weeks from today. Actually, I will have my full Galactic Starcruiser experience, so very excited for that. But yeah, I got a taste of it, got a kind of a condensed highlight reel of what you experienced there, and I walked away very, very excited to go back and do it again. I know that the Skywalking folks said that they wanted to do it again. They thought that they were never going to do it. They had told me that they weren't planning on doing it because of the cost, the expense,
Right.
and then they came out of it saying that they wanted to save up and do it again. They enjoyed it that much. So yeah, I'm super psyched to go back. I enjoyed it. I love this kind of thing. I love immersive theater and I love Star Wars. And it, to me, it's probably the closest thing anybody's ever going to get to getting to live in that universe for a couple days. And skywalking through Neverland, folks say it's worth the money. So there you have it.
Yeah, that's one of the things we keep hearing this $6,000 number being tossed around, but keep in mind that that is kind of, it's priced like a cruise, in that this is kind of a room room cost, double occupancy type scenario. So I was reading one guy who he got together with a few friends, and they ended up, I think he said his cost ended up being $1,600, which is still, it's a 2-night stay, so that's not inexpensive. But that's what he said that he had been able to end up have happen with the crew that he booked his journey through. So Mike, I was just curious, first walking into the atrium, like what were some of your thoughts as you stepped aboard this Chantrilla Starliner?
I think what excited me the most when I first stepped through those doors after the elevator, well, the launch pod, which is really just an elevator, when those doors opened, I walked in. The first thing I thought in my head was, "Oh, there's aliens!" Like, because I saw that Rhodian lady whose name is Uana. I don't know. I can't remember her name, but something like that. Everybody's flipping out over the Rhodian. There's the droid rolling around. There's the Twi'lek singer, Gaia, who was hanging out in there when I first got there. There's the captain, who's a Pantoran, Wani. Thank you, Rich and Sarah, for correcting me on that. Wani. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of one of the things we always wanted at Galaxy's Edge, that they haven't quite delivered at all, except for the Doc Ondar animatronic and Hondo animatronic. We didn't really get aliens like hanging out and walking around in Galaxy's Edge, which I would love to see. So the fact that this exists in the Galactic Starcruiser is really cool. Of course, yes, it is behind the additional expense. It's kind of a upcharge with a lot of upcharge, right?
Yeah, no, I will say that coming, reading and I've consumed hours and hours of footage because Mike's about to head back. So and I don't blame you. You kind of been spoiler free as much as you can be based on what you've already done.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not on it's not in my checklist yet. So I've just been, every video I can consume, I have been, and pretty much what you're saying is what I came away with. Is this really felt like what I think a lot of my Star Wars friends, my really passionate Star Wars friends, were thinking we were going to get when they opened Galaxy's Edge. That they were going to step into this world of Star Wars and have people interact with them. And the one of the things that you do on board ship is, there's a story, and throughout it you have a role within this story, and how deep a role or how casual a role is really up to you.
Yes. Yeah, they're saying, the Skywalking guys are saying, you're literally in a Star Wars film for 45 hours. Yeah. And I think if I had to list the things that I love about this concept, number one at the top of the list would be the characters, because I spent 4 hours there, and in that 4 hours, I already felt close to, like, connected to those characters and cared about what happened to them by the end. So I can imagine over 2 days how much more, it would be exponential. How much you learn to love those characters, and they'll get to know you by name. You'll get to know them by name. They'll see you, they'll point you out, because it's a pretty intimate experience. There's not that many, I think it's like 300 people a cruise, which is not that many. If you go on a Disney cruise, it's thousands of people, right? So this is, you're going to get to know these characters over those 2 days, and you're going to become invested in their story. And yeah, you can choose which path you want to follow, which characters you want to kind of associate yourself with. And I think you'll come out on the other end feeling satisfied by the resolution to all those arcs, whatever you happen to follow.
And following the various vlogs and all that I've been following, or vlogs. I know some people just say vlogs. That one of the things that I have found interesting is how there's like various anchor points within the story, and so there's these moments where everybody comes together at one time. At the beginning, you have your muster, and then later on you have some moments there in the atrium where everybody's together. But other parts of the story, while it seems that everybody is experiencing them at some point along their journey, depending on your story, seems to really impact kind of when you encounter that. So because one of my thoughts was at $6,000, if I get off the cruise and I've had a nice time, but then I'm like, wait, but they got to meet, let me think of something. They got to meet Chewie.
Yeah.
I never saw Chewie. I was thinking that could, be like, oh man. But
Right.
it really, like I say, in following this, because I see those moments throughout the videos of other people, but yet the reasons why they found themselves in those locations wasn't always the same reason. And so it was really clever, really creative. I was very impressed by that. Skywalking through Neverland. By the way, you guys, I'm going to be emailing you, because once Mike gets off this thing, I think it'd be fun to get all together, and I want to hear about the way you guys all experienced it, because Mike will have then had that overnight stay and journey to Batu and everything. So I'm hoping we'll all get together and chat about it when he gets back. But yeah, they had a great time. Like Mike was saying, they came off it with a different expectation, I think, as far as the amount of fun it was. So, Mike, where else should you have an incredible playlist. If you're somebody who wants to get a feel of the Galactic Starcruiser, please check out the Laughing Place playlist, because Mike did a really great job of just documenting his experience and documenting just, kind of wandering the ship. What video, Mike, what area would you like to talk about?
Well, let's show the climate simulator, since Doobie was talking about that, because I think this was a little surprising what this actually was to me and to other folks. Because we knew going in that they were going to have this climate simulator that kind of allows you to step out into the open air. And the idea is in story that it's a simulation of the climate that you would experience on Batu to kind of get you used to that before you arrive on the planet. But there's a little bit more to it, in that there are these rocks that you can go in there and balance, but then you'll get this guide who'll bring you over and, basically guide you through focusing your energy and making some fun stuff happen. I don't know how much do we want to spoil here.
We're going to be a little spoilery right
Okay,
now. So
okay.
if you're somebody who's getting ready and you don't want to be spoiled, turn away, look away.
I definitely was not expecting this little force sensitive moment to come out of the climate simulator. I thought it was just kind of a way to get out of the confines of the ship. If you're feeling a little claustrophobic, you can step outside. But yeah, there's more to it than that.
Yeah, no, it's really impressive. Like Mike says, this woman, this leader here is guiding everybody. She's asking you to lean in. Let me see if I can get the volume to work here.
Who fell down, Rich or Sarah? They said they fell down.
And then all of a sudden you can see that the force is they vibrate the rocks, and then slowly these rocks begin to move. She's asking them to envision the rocks as if and envision moving them through this collection, and slowly you'll see that the rocks begin to move. It's really impressive and really,
yeah.
And I don't know, Mike, it seemed to me that it connected in a personal way with those involved in the moment.
Yeah, and I showed this to my wife last night, and she said, I want to see a child do that. Like, can you imagine the reaction a child would have to that moment of actually kind of using the force And yeah, I was saying like, oh, well, then they're going to leave and go back to their room and try to be so disappointed that they can't do it anymore. Like, why is it only working in that one spot? But it's still amazing. It's going to put a big smile on people's faces, I think.
It reminds me of my 5-year-old nephew. He video chatted with me the other day because Gideon, who's now 13, had done a little magic trick while we were there where he would take something and put it over money, and then when he would move it, and then when he would pick it up, the money would be gone. And his nephew, his cousin can't figure it out. So I got the video call. But Becca, I put it, I move it, it's supposed to disappear. It didn't disappear. I'm just envisioning kind of that same dynamic after this experience. It's the emotion that I kept seeing throughout all the videos.
Yes.
Was
I teared up.
I cried watching people's videos.
I think that was my first response walking out of it, was like, in that 4 hours, I think I teared up like half a dozen times. I was like, okay, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, there were so many little moments that I teared up. I think it was Ashley Eckstein's Instagram. She said that while it was fun as an adult to be there and to kind of play, you're playing along, you're immersing yourself into this magical environment, but to see the kids, as you're saying, just they're all in. They aren't playing. This is happening in the moment.
Yeah.
I would love it. Now, I think this is one of the the crewmen that you particularly connected with, Mike.
Yeah. So this guy's name, I'm blanking on his name. What is his name?
Oh, I don't have it in front of me. Maybe Skywalking.
Yeah.
I've just been calling him the mechanic.
The mechanic character. Yeah, he kind of starts out as like a nobody in the beginning, and you start to get to know him, and he becomes like the protagonist
of
the story. And I don't want to say much more than that,
No.
really, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Oh man, and this is during the TIE fighter sequence. You actually end up in the bridge twice during your adventure. It's kind of a group and a collaborative effort. Oh, that's another element, Mike, that you spoke to when we've chatted is just the collaborative nature of the experience.
Yes. Oh yeah, there were a few moments in the bridge training and other places where everybody's trying to do the same thing, achieve the same goal. Like here you're fighting TIE fighters, everybody's working together, and there's a part where you're trying to blow up a big asteroid in a different part of the bridge training, and when that happens, when everybody succeeds, the whole room like explodes in cheers, and you're like, oh, there's like 30 something people in this room, and everybody was working together to achieve that goal, and we all did it. It's a little bit, it's kind of like Smuggler's Run, but times like 15 or something like that. It's pretty great.
Yeah, and yes, Skywalking Through Neverland, there are actually a couple of different faces that you'll see adopt these roles. I did notice that. I did notice that as well when I was watching the videos. The other area that, Mike, I want to ask you about is the lightsaber training, because I teared up with the way people were reacting to it.
Yeah.
But watching the video, I'm still not sold on it. And
I was hesitant about this going in because I had seen the video of Josh Tomorrow doing it, and I was like, that looks kind of lame. And I think now that I'm getting ready to go back in a couple weeks, if I had to choose one thing to skip, this would probably be it, because I just kind of feel like, yeah, I got the idea. It was fine. It was fun. By the end, it felt very repetitive, and I actually like kind of worked up a sweat, which is, it's fun exercise, I guess, but I don't feel a pressing need to do it again. And I don't know. It just, there wasn't a tremendous amount to it.
Yeah, that's one of the.
Does my character want to do it, I guess, is the big question.
We'll have to see, and we'll be talking more about that. We'll be talking more a little bit about Lochico in a little bit. is it okay? So you see in the footage that there's a beam of light, and you have the lightsaber in your hand, and you're moving. Does it like vibrate when you get it in within the
Yes.
beam, or I can't tell what's going on there.
So yeah, they explain that the beam of light is just like a guide to tell you where the blaster bolt is going to come out of. So you're supposed to move the lightsaber blade into the beam, and then it blasts you, and then you do feel the vibration, and then the shields kind of do the same thing. So the cool thing about it is they start to involve the people who are waiting in line. So there's like 4 people in each line to wait to use the lightsaber, and they involve the people behind you by giving them these shields. Like in case you miss one of the blaster bolts with your lightsaber, they can catch it with their shield. So it's fun that everybody's kind of getting involved again. It's like trying to get everybody going at the same time. But then you like keep rotating, or at least in my experience doing it, they kept rotating people through the line like again and again, and you would just like get up there and you're like, okay. They do conclude it with kind of a twist on it that I probably again don't want to spoil. But yeah, I think like they said, probably could have been cut down. It was too long. It was like 45 minutes or
And
something of that.
and
Yeah.
that is a repeated refrain that I have heard from numerous people with this
Yeah.
particular encounter was both this and the initial bridge training. I've heard from a number of people that they wish though maybe those particular moments had been shorter. And given how exhausted it seems people are coming, I mean, people really seem to be coming off this multi-day experience feeling like, wow, I just really packed a lot in. It sounds like maybe they do have some room to breathe to where maybe we might, could see them adjusting some of these schedules. But I don't know. I'm curious to know if littles feel the same way.
Yeah, that's the other thing I kind of pointed out on my podcast, and I would say again here is that I feel like all the things that I felt like were kind of dragged on too long. I wonder if kids are going to be into it enough that they're going to want to, keep wanting to go back and do that lightsaber training. I think maybe my, I needed to put myself in the mind of a kid a little bit more during those experiences. Like the bridge training, I can see kids really getting into that, and the lightsaber training as well.
And that's where a dynamic with more average guests, on your trip, if there's a broad dynamic of ages and everything, will bring a different experience. You were doing this with a bunch of media who are all trying to film and
Yes.
experience at the same time. So very, very, very different kind of dynamic in that way. And we're going to talk specifically about the food in a little bit, but before we kind of move off this topic of the Star Cruiser locale, let's talk a little bit about the Crown of Corellia
Oh yeah.
dining.
Yeah, so this was a big hit. I really feel like Gaia brought down the house. My friends watched this last night, and they asked me if the audio was better in the room than it came across on the video, and I feel like it must have been, because I remember everybody was pretty into it, and I guess it just doesn't capture it well on the video. But yeah, I loved Gaia. I wasn't expecting to be as into it as I was. I really can't wait for them to release this music.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just a lot of fun. I think again, this is this is a big part of it that I'm really looking forward to experiencing again. And even, we were talking about the bridge training. To me, yeah, the bridge training was a little repetitive too, but at least it ended with a big story moment. So it's like that's the stuff that I'm really interested in. So they like worked in the story to the bridge training, and the same thing is true with the Gaia performance. Like it starts out like a regular like dinner club concert, and then the story gets brought into it as well, which I really liked.
And I can attest to this. Get my husband. This is my husband here. He was not that. You look at the price of the Galactic Starcruiser. He was like, no biggie, no biggie. It's not for me anyway. No worries. Then he was watching your video of Gaia singing, and he's like, uh-oh, I got to figure out how to get there. And then it just got worse and worse and worse and more talking about how we're gonna make this happen. So
I think watching Doobie become a convert to Galactic Starcruiser has been a great pleasure for me.
I swear somebody must have just followed Doobie around a Disney cruise and been like, what are the elements of the Disney cruise that is makes him go on the ship. And they put all of that in here because one of the things he loves more than anything else is those those small moment interactions you have with the crew.
And that's what
And
this is all about. Yeah.
totally, yeah.
And
And it's amazing.
speaking of the Disney cruise, my wife Tori and I did Star Wars Day at Sea 2 years ago, early 2020, right before the pandemic hit. And there's a sequence where Darth Vader and the Imperial stormtroopers come out and take over the ship. And when I showed her the muster video from this, she was like, "Oh, this is just like that." I was like, "Yeah." I hadn't made the connection yet, but I think they borrowed some elements of, how can we have this play out? Because the way the First Order takes over the ship is kind of similar to what they had been doing on the Disney Cruise Line.
Yeah, that's been one of the fun aspects as a Disney fan, is to kind of see elements of various experiences we've had over the years and see how they're coming into play here. I know for Gideon, he is noticing a lot of the aspects of the bridge are similar to collaborative gaming that he's experienced with an Oceaneer
Okay.
club.
Right.
And so that was so similarly, it reminded him of some of his favorite aspects of the cruising. Do you want to talk about a little bit about the cabins? I know you haven't had the chance to stay in one yet, but you did get to wander.
Yeah, they showed us the cabin really quickly. This whole video, I think, is the full length of the time that I was in there. So it's like 5 minutes. But then the highlight that they wanted to show off was this droid that you can speak to on the computer screen there, named D309. Oh, there it is. Yeah, D309. And she's basically like a Siri or a Alexa, but in Star Wars. We can ask her any questions about the ship or the schedule, what's happening that day. Really, she's supposed to be like a pretty well-developed AI that you can interact with, and just ask her anything. She'll have a conversation with you. So you just press the button to get it started and start talking to her. And she's available, I think, 24/7. Well, not
Is that
7, 24/2.
is that one of the did they speak to whether or not it's push to talk, or if it's like your Siri Alexa? Did they speak that? Because I've heard different kind of reports on
Huh.
how she's actually operating there.
I think in the press release it said you had to push the button
Push
to
to
talk to
talk.
her, but I could be wrong about that.
No, that's what I've heard too. So apparently the plug outlets are a bit of a challenge. So Skywalking Through Neverland offering you the tip of bring up a power
Okay.
strip.
Gotta remember that.
Yep. So I know
Okay.
know that that's something that I have found typically with travel. So thank you, Skywalking Through Neverland. And you can see they have the bunk bed pod over there, which are actually far more roomy than I would have expected. I saw a gentleman who was, I want to say he said he was 6'3", lay down in the bed and his head and feet were not touching. There
Oh,
was a little bit of room
then I won't
at
have
his
any
head
problem.
and a little bit of room at his feet to lay down, because the visual of them is very, like child. You think like a teenage,
Yes.
maybe a teenager might be a little cramped, but no, this was a
No,
full
I am
adult.
definitely gonna sleep in one of those bunks. I think I will be extremely cozy in one of those pods. Yeah. Um,
I love
that's
the
right up
light.
my alley.
You have to play with the light. The light fixture in there looks so cool.
Okay. Well,
Looks
yeah.
so cool
I
to
want
me.
one of the, if I ever have a house, I want to have one of those built into the wall.
And I want to see somebody ask this droid questions beyond I want to know if it has like any kind of bank of knowledge. Like I was curious if I said to this in-room droid, "Do you know any stories of General Organa?"
Mm,
Would I get an
mm,
answer?
good question.
Like
Yeah.
I was like, because those are kinds of things I do with Siri and Alexa here at the house. I ask them all kinds of, I like ask them all kinds of bizarre things. I was thinking of those questions for your
Or
trip.
see if you can enlist it to help the First Order or something, like to enlist the
Yeah.
droid to do something evil.
Well, as we've been mentioning, Mike, well, sort of, Mike is going to be traveling back
Yeah.
to the Halcyon, but this time, Mike, I'll let you introduce your clip
Yeah,
here.
so well, we were talking about, because we had both the media preview thing and then the full trip that we're planning on covering. And I was trying to brainstorm like different kind of ways to approach this coverage. And I thought, well, I mean, if it were me going myself, I would want to create a character and just commit to it entirely, because this is really the ultimate experience for fans of immersive theater, where I asked Matt Martin this at the press event. I was like, are you guys actively encouraging people to create their own characters? And he said yes. So I thought that was a green light to go ahead and create my own character, and I'm going to commit to it the whole 2 days. And then also I went ahead and shot this like 3-minute prologue movie to introduce my character and kind of give a reason why he's going on the trip. And yeah, I think I overthought it probably a little bit,
No,
but
no, it's great. No, I love every moment of it, and we're going to show it to you right now.
Okay,
It's just about 3 minutes, and then we're going to get back to more Star Wars headlines.
Thanks, Fennec. This is it.
Thank you for contacting Starliner Travel. How may I assist you today?
I need to book passage to Batu as soon as possible.
And we're going to say, check out the full video on our YouTube channel. That way you'll also get it as the creator intended it.
Yeah, image got squeezed on the stream there, but it is in full glorious 2.39 to 1 aspect ratio widescreen on YouTube. So you can find it on the Laughing Place YouTube channel.
And we'll be sure to put the link below, but it's right here on this YouTube channel. In fact, it was the featured video, so easy to find. Yeah, no, I'm so excited to follow your adventures in character when very soon. Yay! Very soon.
Yeah, that's I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna be shooting more footage for that and release it after the trip. So
awesome.
Watch out for that right here.
As part of the media access, Mike, you were able to have a few conversations. We were able to have conversations with Scott Trowbridge and Matt Martin. You've mentioned a few of those comments here, but those articles are found in full right here on laughingplace.com.
Yeah, you can either read the interviews that I transcribed for laughingplace.com, or you can listen to the interviews. The audio of both those interviews are on my podcast, Who's the Boss, the Star Wars podcast from Laughing Place.
And in addition to such illustrious figures as Mike Celestino and the Skywalking Through Neverland duo, the Halcyon also recently was honored with the presence of Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, I was really pleased and kind of giddy by this video because of how excited he seemed to be there. Because I would have figured, you'd make 3 Star Wars movies, you're just kind of done with it. You want to step away from it for a while, but he was like totally into it, which is awesome. And it got me excited to go back. And I'm sure some Oscar Isaac fans out there saw this and they were like, if Oscar Isaac likes it, we must have to check it out.
There you go. So I'm interested to see who else we get to have little clips of enjoying aboard the ship as well over the months and years. That'll be a lot of fun to see. And then Make-A-Wish sent a family to the Galactic Starcruiser along with a bundle of goodies as well. Nice holochess game there.
Yeah, that must be very nice. A literal dream come true.
Really beautiful. And that video of the arrival and the presentation is out there as well for you to enjoy. As part of your media moments, you had sorry, my computer glitched.
That's okay.
You had like a presentation on the food that you attended.
Yeah, so at the media event, after we got off the ship, we went back to the Contemporary Resort, where they had all the food and merchandise set up on, well, not all of it actually. They said it was just a selection of both of those, but I was given a tour of the food there by one of the chefs, and the drinks by one of the, what do you call a chef that makes drinks? I don't know. There's a word for that, but I can't remember. Mixologist, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, you can watch that video again on Laughing Place YouTube channel. And yeah, I want to say again, because I do have some severe food allergies, they were extremely accommodating for me, as they were on the Disney Cruise Line. Two of the best, allergy friendly experiences I've ever had were on these two different Disney type cruises. But yeah, really highly recommended to eat the food while you're on the ship.
And in case you're worried that hey, they may be accommodating of my allergies, but is it going to be is it going to be fun and different? That right there, that's Mike's allergy plate.
Yep, that was my dinner selection for the allergy, my gluten celiac friendly allergy. Yep.
So he gets he got to have a little bit of that, unique galactic treat experience as well, even with the constraints of his diet needs. So and then you also were able to view the various merchandise that was available on board.
Yeah, so similarly to how I saw the food and the drinks, they gave me a tour of all the merch that they had on display there. I've said this before, but the thing I'm most excited for is the new Halcyon Chandrila Starline Sabacc deck, and there's also Sabacc chips now that have the logo on it, the Halcyon or Chandrila Starline logo on it. But yeah, there's all sorts of apparel and collectibles, and you could get a little toy of the droid. Not the droid that you talked about, the astromech droid. Yeah.
They have the one that's the size of we spoke about this a lot on Barely Necessities earlier this week. We really went through the various merchandise, but they have a version that is the Droid Depot size, and then they have the like 3 3/4. But then they had one that's kind of in between those two, and that one has little buttons on it that you can push, and it makes various droid noises.
Okay.
So that's the one that caught my eye. And if you want to tour, of course my screen's going to go green. But if you want a tour of the shop, hey, here, hold on, let me move this out of the way and get this to where I can actually see everything, because I was going to tell you that our friends over at Skywalking Through Neverland, they actually took a tour of the shop on board, and they let you see the various merchandise along with the pricing and everything. You get a really thorough tour of the various merchandise on board, and that's from Skywalking Through Neverland. So I want to recommend you give them a peek on all that information, so that way you'll be ready when you get on board. You'll know what you want.
Yeah, I want to say that I didn't even get to go into that store during our tour. They had it roped off, I guess, because they didn't want us in there shopping the whole time, instead of covering the things that they wanted to get out there.
Yeah. Sorry, Mike. My resources are running low here, so my computer was shutting down on me.
Sure.
Okay. I've got stuff minimized now, and hopefully we can keep moving without any further interruptions from non-functioning computers. Also, among the merchandise on board, you can throw on some dude. There's this one pop-up mic that is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's one particular pop-up.
Yeah.
Everything just goes. But here, I'll let you talk about these various head pieces.
Yeah. So these are head. Well, I think in universe they're called Leku from a Twi'lek, and what's the
Togruta
version of a Leku? I think there's a different name for it.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but yeah, you can buy these in the shop there if you want to dress up as your favorite alien species. Of course, Togruta is the species that is Ahsoka Tano in the Clone Wars, and you've seen a bunch of Twi'leks and a bunch of different stuff. But I know they're encouraging. Oh, Montrails. Yeah, thank you. Again,
Yeah, I was
this
just
is
looking
good to
that
have
up.
them around. It's like
Yeah, no,
anytime I
yeah,
can't remember something, they can chime in.
Yes, they're characterized by colorful skin tones,
Yeah.
large montrals, and head tails. So I'm like, okay.
There we go. So they're encouraging guests not only to create their own characters, but you are permitted to dress up in alien makeup and stuff like that. I opted for a human character just to limit my preparation time, I think.
And then the other aspect is H2O Plus
Yeah.
has some unique Chandrila Starline offerings. This little case, we actually noticed it in the room, but you can also purchase it in their gift shops. And
Yeah, they gave me one of these. This is one of the things I walked away with of
cool.
2 little swag things that they gave us. So yeah, it was face wipes, and I forget what else is in there.
Foaming bubble mask. And these items will be very helpful if you're someone who is going more in depth and you have like character makeup. So, I thought that was really thoughtful that they kind of, that they thought of perhaps people who are going to be doing a bit more in regards to makeup usage, and make it a little bit easier to take that off at night in a fun way.
You think the laundry crew there is going to get tired of having like face paint all over the sheets and the
blue on the
pillowcases? Yeah.
They're gonna be like, why did we go with white? We should have the wall, everything's too clean. Oh no. And then if you're a member of the Disney Movie Insiders, that's a free offering that Disney has where you can collect points for like visiting. If you go to the movie theater, your ticket purchase can be tied into that. If you buy a DVD, you can claim points. They have a special Galactic Starcruiser pin for Disney Movie Insiders only. I want to say it was a little around 800 points.
Is that available already?
It was available a few days ago. Okay. I'm assuming it's still available.
Okay, because I'm like, we have a bunch of points that we need to use. So
I didn't have enough points for it because I always give my points away since I never really use anything. So I'm like, I didn't have enough points. I whined about it. And Jeremiah got his, but you're only allowed one per household.
Oh, okay. The last thing we got from there was the big Book of Boba Fett one sheet poster that they had on there. So got to get one of these pins.
And I think with that, we are moving on from the world of the Galactic Starcruiser and into the publishing universe. We've got some comics to talk about. Unless, Mike, is there something in particular that's popping into your head that you wanted to mention on the house stand before we?
No, I'll just say that I'm super psyched to go back. We got a lot of fun stuff planned as far as like coverage goes, and I'm all in favor of people, if you love Star Wars, if you love immersive interactive theater and interactive character experiences, I think people are by and large really enjoying this thing. And it had some bad press going into it, but I think that's the reason that they invited all this media down there to check it out, because they knew once people figured out what it was and actually got to see it for themselves, I think they knew the word of mouth was going to be positive.
I'm particularly interested in hearing about your experiences, and I know our correspondent Jeremiah is going with you as well, because I know both of you have done various immersive theater type of experiences. Did you visit? I know Jeremiah's been to Evermore. Did you visit Evermore as well, right?
Yeah, I went to Evermore for the grand opening, and then my wife and I went like a year later, so I've been there twice.
Yeah, so just knowing that you've done that, I know you've experienced the Knott's Berry Farm, Ghost Town
Alive. Yep.
And you've done the LA experience. That's name isn't coming to me.
Scare LA or no? It's Delusion, or is that what you mean?
I don't know.
There's a bunch of different ones around Halloween.
Yeah, and so just, knowing your experiences within kind of that realm, and I know you've done escape rooms, which this has kind of a bit of an escape room
Yes.
kind of collaborative problem solving, aspects to it. Just all of those pieces together. So I'm really interested to see, because a lot of the reviews I've been seeing are not from people who kind of have that broad experience. They're more specifically like theme park related, or and so I'm eager to see how it measures up to some of the other experiences you've had within immersive theater. So
Yep.
for now, though, we're turning our eyes to High Republic Adventures, the latest comic book.
Yeah, so this is the concluding issue. Actually, both of the High Republic issues that came out last week and this week are the final issues of Phase 1. So this is the more younger audience targeted comic called Star Wars: The High Republic Adventures from IDW. And it kind of wraps up that whole story, which started in early 2021. There was this kid named Crix Camerot who became part of the Nihil, the Marauders, the villains of the High Republic, and then his best friend, um, Zine Marala. She was kind of adopted by the Jedi. She's force sensitive, but she's, quote, too old to begin the training, one of those things. So she
Mhm.
just gets to hang around with the Jedi and not be a Jedi, but she's got all these Jedi friends. And then they finally capture that guy Crix and take him in for interrogation. So this issue is about all that. And it's also kind of about this relationship that's building between Zine and one of the Jedi characters named Lula Talisola. So as you know, the Jedi in general are not permitted to like form attachments or have relationships. And it kind of, I was worried that they weren't going to address that part of the mythos or whatever. But yeah, this issue gets into a little bit of what that means for these characters going forward. And I really enjoyed it. I think it was a good conclusion to this arc. And I'm curious to see where it goes from here. We know that the second phase of the High Republic is going to rewind time to 150 years earlier even than we were in these comics. So I think we'll get back to these characters in phase 3. I think they're going to
Okay.
pick up these characters' story again from the High Republic adventures.
And that is an element of this current storyline that you mentioned in a couple of your reviews, is that with this
Yeah.
being the closure of this first phase and knowing that this next element is going to rewind in time, it's not cliffhanger, but yet you have developed an affinity for these characters, and
Yes.
obviously their story hasn't been fulfilled, so you're kind of excited
Yeah.
for what's coming, but it sounds like you're also eager to get back and see kind of where
Yeah.
they're going next.
It is kind of a little bit of a tease in a way, because they really get to know all these Jedi characters and their friends and stuff, and then you get to the end of this phase, and now they're, most of these characters are not going to have been born yet when they rewind time again. So yeah, I think phase 2 is going to be further in the past. Then they're probably going to come back in phase 3 and wrap up these characters' stories in a year or two, whenever that happens. But yeah, this week was also the 15th issue and final issue of the main High Republic comic from Marvel Comics. And this one overlaps with the novel, The Fallen Star, where, I mean, it's on the cover here, so it's not a big spoiler, but yeah, the Starlight Beacon space station gets attacked by the Nile, and these Jedi characters here, this is Skier, this is Keeve Trennis, and this is Avar Chris, and they all arrive back on the Starlight Beacon and try to help evacuate everybody who's still alive on the station. But there's also these creatures that they call the Leveler, although it doesn't really have a name. This is just kind of like a nickname because it brings the Jedi down to everybody else's level, I guess. But it's basically like a force-sucking creature, which reminded me a little bit of there you go. But this is not actually what it looks like. This is what the Jedi are seeing in their minds. And it gives them like horrible terror nightmare type hallucinations. And it also like sucks the force. So the Jedi can't use the force when they're around them. And then it also will suck the life, like literally suck the life out of them to the point where they're like these charred husks of ash, and they're just dead
Wow.
there on the ground. So it's really a big threat for the Jedi that the Nihil have at their disposal. But the force sucking part reminded me a lot of the Isala Miri, which were these lizards that Great Admiral Thrawn used in the old expanded universe stories, of the Timothy Zahn stories. So I don't know if that's intentional or if that's just kind of a coincidence, or they're drawing a little inspiration from that. But we've been gradually learning more and more about these creatures, and I'm sure we will find out more as the High Republic continues.
Yeah, no,
But yeah,
just
I love this comic. To give my quick review, if people asked me, if anyone were to ask me, like, where do I start with the High Republic, I would say get the Marvel comics when they're all collected. I know the first volume has come out in the trade paperback collected edition, and now that it's finished, this first phase is finished, they will collect the final issues here. But that would be a great place to start, and gives you an idea what the whole thing is about. Then you can go read the novels, and they all overlap and interconnect with each other. Yeah, a little bit of Dementors from Harry Potter.
Yeah,
too.
that's where I went to, Richard and Sarah. Also, this Star Wars: The High Republic Marvel comic, it is available on Marvel Unlimited. If you're a subscriber to that. So that's like a monthly service that gives you access to hundreds and thousands of Marvel comics, and items like this that are being published currently. They typically run a few months behind. I want to say 3 or 4 months behind, maybe more, but I want to say it's 3 or 4 months behind. So some of these items that Mike has been reviewing for us here, I'm just now beginning to read. It's been a long enough time that I've forgotten whatever spoiler elements we discussed here. I'm having a lot of fun diving into this world as well, because with your recommendation, this is kind of how I'm stepping into the universe of
Okay.
the High Republic.
So then,
go ahead.
speaking of the High Republic comics, this is kind of the epilogue, I would say, of phase 1 of the High Republic, and it's called The Eye of the Storm. This is issue number 2 of this mini series, and it's all about the villain. It's from the villain's perspective, Markion Ro. He's the head, or the eye, literally. They call him the Eye of the Nile, and it takes place after the destruction of Starlight Beacon space station. And it's just kind of him gloating in his victory, but he's also got one of the Jedi captive in his lair that he captured during the battle or whatever. And he's also, he's got those creatures too. So I don't know. I don't want to say too much, but I love this comic as well. It's written by Charles Soule, great writer. Yeah, really good stuff. Really like the comics from High Republic. Books are good, but the comics I thought were great.
That's yay! Someone else diving in through Marvel Unlimited into this universe. Hey, Garchomp, we're doing well. We're talking Star Wars. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, the last comic this week was not High Republic. It was just the main Star Wars comic, just called Star Wars. And I was really happy that this issue went back to focusing on Poe Dameron's parents, who were a big part of this comic when it relaunched in 2020. And then they kind of got pushed to the side because of War of the Bounty Hunters, the big crossover event that they did last year. And now we're going back to the story of the Damerons, or Kes Dameron and Shara Bay, who are Poe Dameron's parents, but they were in the rebellion during the Galactic Civil War. And Shara Bay right now is trapped on this Imperial Star Destroyer and is basically like infiltrating the Empire, because she finds this old stormtrooper armor and was walking around the ship and trying not to be detected. Meanwhile, back at the Rebel fleet, her husband, Kes Dameron, is like, why aren't we going to rescue her? Why did you guys spend so much time trying to get Han Solo back, but we haven't gotten Shara Bay back yet? So really interesting stuff. Again, this is Charles Soule too. Great writer. Loving this comic. Highly recommended as well. Good stuff.
And as if Mike doesn't have enough to read, Marvel has announced that a comic adaptation of The Mandalorian season 1 is coming this June. 8 issues, so they're gonna take each episode into a comic form.
Yeah, I can't say I'm too excited for this. I never like when Star Wars does adaptations from other media into another medium. Like I don't care. I don't usually read the novel adaptations of the films or the comic ones
Oh, that's
either. So
funny.
this is something that we've already experienced this story. I'd rather get something original. So
Oh man,
not
I
not
live
terribly
for these.
yeah.
I'm so excited for this. I live for these. I have. I mean, that's like for me how I kind of got into the whole Star Wars thing was through the
Okay.
comic adaptations of the films, and every movie that came out, I would try and get the adaptation, whether it was novel or comic. I yeah, I'm so pumped for this. So that's funny.
I mean, I will definitely read them and review them for laughingplace.com. So we'll talk about it this summer. We'll see. Yeah, so I've heard so much about this novelization of Revenge of the Sith. Everybody says it's great. And I just read one of the novels that this guy wrote. I think it was Darth Bane or something. Was it? Yeah, I think so. First Darth Bane novel, same author. And I thought that was really good. So maybe eventually I'll have to sit down and read
I will
Revenge of
say
the Sith.
I miss the days of when the novelizations were kind of done prior so that they could be released day and date with the film,
Yeah.
because they would include elements that had been dropped or maybe reworked or whatever. And so, with the recent films, like that sequence where Rey touches the lightsaber in when she at Maz Kanata,
Yeah.
and I grabbed the novelization eagerly waiting for like deeper insight because of what no,
Uh,
I didn't get it. I didn't get any more from the novel. I was like, oh, seriously, because
not
I
what it
was
used to be.
I was thinking I was going to get more from it. Like it would identify me, maybe voices that I couldn't identify myself. That kind of thing. So it's like what we do when we watch stuff on Disney Plus, right? You watch it with the captioning on, and then
Right.
so it can identify who's talking because maybe it's not in the credits yet, but they didn't catch that and it's in the captions. Or
I just do that so I know how to spell certain things in Star Wars because it could be so difficult.
it's so fun. I'm also excited for this title, The Padawan.
Yeah, so this is what's Padawan about young Obi-Wan with
Yeah.
Qui-Gon Jinn?
Yeah, in reading this story, when the author talks about how looking at who Obi-Wan became, and then she says, I traced him backwards through the prequels, through Claudia Gray's excellent master and apprentice, to arrive at someone who still had a tremendous amount of growing to do, but with a foundation of who he would become. So I don't know. I'm excited to kind of see this aspect, to see, it talks about how Obi-Wan is somebody who cares so much, but he's always kind of put himself second to serving the Force. The interview got me pumped for the arrival of this.
Do we have the cover for that?
That's what let me pop it up right here.
Okay. There we go.
Thank you. Sorry.
No problem.
So yeah, so this is by Kirsten White.
And when is this coming out? This is coming out around the time of the series, right?
I believe so. Let me scroll up, Mike, and have the accurate information, because it's a pre-order right now. And it is coming July 26th. So after, right?
Okay, yeah. So it'll be after the series wraps up.
And this follows Obi-Wan growing antsy under Qui-Gon Jinn. And yeah, I'm excited. I hadn't heard, I didn't know of this. I had missed this headline coming through until doing the prep for today, and in reading that interview, I got excited for this title. So,
cool, yeah. Again, I will definitely read it and review it. So
yeah.
We'll see.
And as Mike knows, I've been counting down, fingers crossed, that this will successfully finally be on my gaming system.
How many days until this comes out? I know we were doing a countdown, but it's coming up.
Yep, it's coming
up soon.
I'm bad. I like semi pay attention because I'm scared the rug's gonna get pulled out from me again. But they say April 5th is still coming. They're offering some behind the scenes. So just about a month away. Now, have you played this previously on gaming systems?
I have played it a little bit here and there, some of the older Lego Star Wars stuff. I never got super into it.
Yeah, I played it a little bit, but like you, I didn't get super into it. I think it was more about I was enjoying Jurassic Park too much, but I finally finished
Okay.
that. I actually made my way through 95% of Jurassic Park, so now I'm
Nice.
ready to, and that's all the films. So there you go. So now I'm ready to take on Lego Star Wars.
There we go.
So that's coming April 5th, and there's various ways to purchase that, and you get different kind of add-ons depending on where you buy it. So be sure and check around if you're a collector. I know one has a Luke Skywalker with blue milk minifig and
Oh yeah.
and various things like that. In the jewelry world, the Girls Crew has come out with a few more Star Wars related items, some necklaces, some rings. You can see with little Grogu homage there. These are in a more moderate price range, more not as high end as we've seen with Rock Love. So you're looking at a lower price point on these items, and they also do mix and match over at Girls Crew, where you will check out the Death Star ring, Mike.
Oh, it's the Death Star exploding?
That's how it looks to me too. Yeah, that's what I thought when I
That's
saw
kind
it.
of cool.
I had the same feeling. And then they have Darth Vader, Star Destroyer look, an X-wing. So a variety, and then like I say, with the post earrings, which are not coming up right now, but with the post earrings, it'll be like a mix and match where it's not like identical for each ear. You'll have kind of a variety based on a theme. So maybe you'll have like a TIE fighter and an X-wing, or things like that.
Gotcha.
I am unfamiliar with this, Mike, so you're gonna have to bring me up to speed on the Force ad.
I watched it today. It's like 30 seconds long. There's not much to it. It's
Okay.
like a dude's watching Disney Plus, and he's watching, I think it's The Force Awakens or one of the sequel movies where Rey is like using the Force on somebody, Jedi mind trick kind of thing. And then he goes out and he finds a cop's giving him a parking ticket, and he tries to use the Force on her, and she doesn't buy it. But then her partner comes over, and he's like, he must be watching a lot of Star Wars on Disney Plus. And then that's the end of the commercial. Pretty much. And then it goes into like, here's all the things we have on Disney Plus.
Okay, so a little bit of fun for Star Wars fans, and a reminder that you can find all kinds of Star Wars content on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for the headlines around here. Mike, tell them what they need to know about Who's the Boss.
Yeah, go listen to this week's Who's the Boss. It was actually a really good episode with Joey Inigo from mouseinfo.com. And it was basically like our pretty early on our reaction to touring the Halcyon, because we recorded it that evening, like after we got out of the ship and after the media event was over and stuff. So we had that nice long chat about what we thought. And then also it's got the audio from the interviews I did with Scott Trowbridge and Matt Martin. Yeah. Right. It was the scene where Rey uses the Force mind trick on Daniel Craig's Stormtrooper. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Skywalking to Neverland. I have not used the Girls Crew, but I do believe that Rebecca Burbank, who I partner with on Barely Necessities, has an order on its way to her from. I'm pretty sure she said she had an order coming from Girls Crew. So I will be sure and let you know when that arrives. If I'm remembering correctly, I'm pretty sure it was Girls Crew. Yeah, but that's it for us here at Star Wars Headlines on laughingplace.com. Like I say, when it comes to the Halcyon, if you want to get an overview of it, we've got a tremendous playlist. Mike, above and beyond, it was amazing what he accomplished, because not only did he have this, I can only imagine, kind of overwhelming 4-hour tour, then it was, okay, now you got to put all that coverage up, because tomorrow morning is when... Yeah. Everybody can see it, so it's just like go. And you didn't even sleep. That
I know, yeah. Well, I
it
think
was
like Rich and Sarah were saying earlier, like I can't wait to go back and have this experience without having to look at it through my phone screen
Mhm.
or through the camera or whatever. And this time Jeremiah will be behind the camera, but
Yeah.
it's right up my alley. I really dug it. I hope other people are enjoying it as well now that it's open for business. And I think the second cruise left today, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm eager. I'm very eager. Not only I'm excited by the early reception I'm seeing to this, and excited for what this can mean for the future of kind of themed entertainment and various offerings that we'll see. Because just because it is a 2-night stay right now, doesn't necessarily mean that it's always going to be only that kind of experience is the way that you can have this kind of thing. This is the opening entry into this type of experience, and to see it being this well received gives me hope that maybe dynamics where it's maybe a shorter experience that's more economically accessible can come into play and that kind of thing. So yeah, no, thank you for joining us, Skywalking Through Neverland. I really appreciate it. Thanks everyone for watching. We will be here next week. Yeah,
Yep.
we'll be here next week. Thursdays, that's when you find us here. Thursdays at 4 to discuss all the latest Star Wars headlines. There's always stuff going on here at Laughing Place. If you've been enjoying this stream, please give us a like. We greatly appreciate it. It helps other people find us. If you want to keep on top of what's happening here on our YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the bell. You'll get notified. We go live often. We have shows about Disney Parks talk. We have merchandise discussions, Marvel talks, Star Wars. We also have trivia contests on Tuesdays and Saturdays. So lots going on here on the Laughing Place YouTube channel. You can follow Mike's Star Wars adventures at Who's the Boss Pod. That's where he makes sure to keep you up to date on all this stuff he's covering for Laughing Place in the world of Star Wars. If you want to stay on top of all sorts of news around the Disney company and themed entertainment, follow Laughing Place on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you all real soon. May the stars light your way.